I'm Mr. Krug. So, how long have you been married?
Almost 23 years.
How old were you when you met each other?
19.
Describe your courtship.
We met for end of freshman year of college. We were both involved in the intramural program. So I don't know how to describe my courtship. We went on dates. I met his family. He met my family. We spent a lot of time at each other's houses.
That's it?
What we did.
Alright. Why did you decide to get married?
Because we were dating a long time. We actually broke up and got back together. I went away to college and he stayed home. And we were about 27 and we were dating for a long time, and I knew that he made me happy. He made me feel, most importantly, he made me feel secure. I knew that he was level-headed, hardworking, and truly cared about me. And of course loved me, and I loved him.
Describe your engagement.
Very funny how we got engaged, or our engagement period.
Engagement period.
He proposed to me in front of my class. I was a teacher, and that was on Easter. And then we got married about a little over a year later. My mother had passed away 2 years prior, so it was a very emotional time for me to get married without my mom. But our engagement was, we didn't have an engagement party or anything. We just planned a wedding.
How old were you when you got married?
27.
What were you looking for in a spouse?
I want someone who likes consistency, and I like someone who's honest, truthful, family person, values, didn't get caught up in the hype. Daddy was very, and still is, very level-headed and very honest. And one of the things that still to this day really makes me feel safe is he's very even.
How does the reality of marriage compare to your expectations of what marriage would be?
Marriage is never the same during different periods. Without children, we were living in Manhattan. It was very free. And I'm the youngest of a very large family, so I had a lot of people to look up to, and I knew that marriage was not a fairy tale, and that marriage was work, and that there's always going to be good times and bad. So I really had no fantasy that it was going to change my life forever. That I knew that I had to work, he had to work, and when it was good, and when it was bad, we knew that we would see through those times too.
How do children affect marriage?
We were married 5 years, and then you were born. And for me, that first year of your life, if I could go back and do anything, was really, truly the best year of my life. It was to watch another human being that we created learn every little thing, and his whole world opened up, was really a phenomenal experience for me. Then, of course, it changed as your siblings came along. And again, when you have more than one, and other things come into play, and different kids need different things, it's, once again, a roller coaster. Sometimes it's really great, sometimes it's really hard, but the same thing goes through marriage, that when the things are good, you really celebrate them. Because when things are bad, you know it's going to get better. It's only temporary.
How important are money, similar values and/or religion, cultural background, educational background,
That's a lot of things.
age difference
Please hold.
affect your marriage?
Okay, there's too many things, so take one at a time.
Money.
How does it affect what? My marriage?
Like how important are money? How important is money in marriage?
Both Daddy and I came from large families who had what we needed to survive, but we certainly did not have excess or extras. So we both paid for our own college, and we had a strong work ethic to provide and to have a cushion. We are very fortunate in what we have. We've worked hard for what we've had. Money certainly, our situation and our money situation definitely helps in the stress in our marriage because we are comfortable. And we are very fortunate to be comfortable, and we don't take advantage of that. We also worked hard to be comfortable. But that being said, if we weren't as fortunate and we still worked hard, because there's plenty of people who work hard who aren't as comfortable, I think we'd be just fine.
How important are similar values and or religion?
One of the things that I think with Daddy and I is we, as much as our values of a family and things, we also are individuals. So something I value, he doesn't value, an opposite. So, I mean, the same thing for him. So sometimes that's difficult because something that's important to me may not be as important to him. But in general, our values of family, faith, hard work, education is pretty much across the board. And you said, what was the other one you asked for?
Culture background.
Cultural background. I'm third generation. So to me, my culture, I'm Irish and Italian. Yes, do I have some of it? More is family culture than a culture from a nationality. Mm-hmm. And I would think the same is for Daddy.
What about educational background or age difference?
Well, we're the same age, so that's the same. Educational background was my parents, being one of 9, put us all through Catholic elementary school, and then I went to public high school. Education, I wouldn't say was it valued, because it was obviously valued, but I wasn't pushed enough, and that's why one of the things that I do think is important for my family is I push them further in education. My parents were very community-minded, so their focus really was about helping in the community. We spent a lot of time helping and guiding and helping other people. So I would say their focus was more on community than education. Daddy's was probably more on education than community.
What advice would you give teenagers who are dating and thinking about getting married?
Teenagers?
Teenagers.
Don't.
That's it?
You have to become an individual before you get married, and a teenager is not, you haven't experienced enough. So you have to, whether you go to college or don't go to college and have a career, you have to build yourself. And then that doesn't mean you can't date during that time and grow during that time, but I think being an individual and having a solid foundation for yourself is very important before you enter into marriage.
What advice would you give a young married couple that is experiencing marital difficulties and thinking about a divorce?
Empathy. Empathy is a huge skill that is missing in general. And in marriage, if you constantly put yourself in the other person's shoes, you can understand. This went off. I don't know if it. This went off.
It's still going.
Okay. It doesn't look like it's going. Okay.
No, it's still recording.
Okay, sorry. What was the question? Someone was having marriage difficulties?
Yes.
Like I said, empathy. I think that is the strongest skill in your marriage. Communication, number one, and empathy. If you are able to communicate your feelings and your thoughts calmly and rationally and with respect, and then the ability to think, well, this person is doing that because where they come from in their point of view. If you constantly put yourself in someone else's shoes, you can put your guard down and try to understand why it is they're doing something that's making you unhappy or treating you in a way that's unhappy, that's making you unhappy. That doesn't mean you accept that behavior. That it means you first understand why it's happening and then try to calmly and rationally explain what your needs are.
Looking back, what would you do differently if you could?
And what?
Doesn't specify.
I would have had a different major. I would have, lots of things.
I'm assuming, like, in marriage or, like, decision making.
If I could go back, I would take the knowledge I know now and have enjoyed my early years as a parent and would have parented calmer and much more mindfully. And now that I've learned so much about mindful skills and learning how to meditate and learning to disconnect, I would have not been so hard on you when you were younger. I would have enjoyed you more and worried less. And that's a skill that I hope that my children, once they have their relationships and their marriages, that they are calmer and that they realize faith is important and to let go of the control, because all you really have to do is love your children and the rest will follow.
Okay. What would you say is the key to a happy marriage?
And there's not one key. There's many keys.
You name, like, a couple?
Understanding, patience. Patience is a big one. Things don't happen when you want them to happen. Sometimes they just happen when they're supposed to happen. Faith and hope that you know that it will withstand whatever comes its way. And for me, it's not an option to not try. It's not an option to give up. I married someone that I know loves me, and that sometimes when it's bad, I wouldn't even say bad, when it's difficult, this too shall pass. And I just know that the good times will come and the bad times will come. So knowing that, not thinking that marriage is like, your Prince Charming saving your life. You're responsible for your own happiness and no one else's.
Do you think a couple should live together before they decide to get married? Why or why not?
I have no feelings or opinions about it. If someone chooses to do that, that's fine. If someone doesn't, that's fine too.
Well, then what did you do?
We lived together after we were engaged for about 8 months before the wedding to save for the wedding. Because Daddy lived in an apartment and I lived in an apartment.
So before you got engaged, you didn't live together?
No.
That's pretty much it.
That's the only question you have?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay.